Picture this. It's 199 AD in the mountains of Japan, and an emperor is dying. His best physicians have tried everything in their arsenal. Prayers have been offered, incense is burning, and nothing is working. Then a group shows up from the forest carrying tribute, but it's not gold or silk or anything you'd expect. It's mushrooms. Golden brown caps pulled from rotting oak logs deep in the wilderness. The emperor eats them, and within days, the fever breaks. The mushroom gets declared divine medicine, and for the next 1800 years, it stays locked away for royalty only. Fast forward to 1982, and this same mushroom that saved emperors is now just sitting in the corner of your grocery store behind rows of those boring white button mushrooms nobody actually wants. If you're loving this deep dive into forgotten food history, smash that like button and subscribe, because we're about to expose one of the biggest nutritional cover-ups in modern agriculture. This is the story of shiitake, and I'm not exaggerating when I say this mushroom has been buried on purpose. The name itself comes from two Japanese words, shii for the castanopsis tree where it grows wild, and take meaning mushroom. The Chinese had their own names for it during the Song dynasty, calling it shangu, the fragrant mushroom, or donggu, the winter mushroom. And here's where it gets wild. Unlike basically every other food source humans have ever cultivated, shiitake actually thrived in the cold when other crops failed. Think about that for a second. While your vegetables are dying in winter, this mushroom is out here, absolutely dominating. By the year 1000, Chinese farmers had figured out the perfect cultivation method, and honestly, it's genius in its simplicity. They would fell oak trees in winter, drill holes in the logs, pack them with mushroom spawn they'd harvested from old growth forests, and then just wait. Within 2 years, those logs would start fruiting, and get this, not just once. These logs would produce mushrooms for 6 to 8 years straight. 1 log, 8 harvests, no fertilizer, no irrigation, just shade and patience. That's agriculture's best kept secret right there, and it's been hiding in plain sight for a millennium. During the Ming Dynasty, things got serious. Shiitake was reserved exclusively for the emperor, and I mean exclusively. Commoners caught cultivating it faced punishment. The imperial medical texts literally called it the emperor's food and prescribed it for upper respiratory disease, poor circulation, exhaustion, and to boost qi, that life force energy. This wasn't just some fancy delicacy for the rich. It was medicine so powerful that entire dynasties built monopolies around it. In Japan, feudal lords actually fought wars over shiitake forests. When one army conquered another, they wouldn't just take the gold. They'd take the logs, because a shiitake log was wealth that literally reproduced itself year after year for a decade. The ruling class monopolized it because they understood something that modern science wouldn't confirm for another 600 years, and what they understood will blow your mind. Jump to 1969, and researchers at Tokyo's National Cancer Center isolate a compound from shiitake. They call it lentinan. When they inject it into tumor-bearing mice at extremely low dosages, something extraordinary happens. Tumors regress in 80 to 100% of subjects. Now here's the kicker. This compound isn't killing cancer cells directly. It's activating the immune system, teaching your body to recognize and destroy the invader on its own. That's not just medicine. That's basically turning your immune system into a trained assassin. By the 1980s, Japan approved lentinan as a prescription drug, not a supplement, an actual drug used in combination with chemotherapy for gastric, colorectal, and hepatic cancer. Let me hit you with some numbers that will make you question everything. A 2018 systematic review analyzed 38 randomized controlled trials involving over 3,000 lung cancer patients. Chemotherapy alone produced a 43% response rate. Chemotherapy plus lentinan, 57%. That's a 14 percentage point improvement from a mushroom that emperors had been consuming for 18 centuries. They didn't have clinical trials back then, but they had observation, and observation told them this mushroom was worth fighting wars over. But lentinan is just the beginning of this story. Shiitake contains eritadenine, a compound that acts like a traffic cop for your bloodstream. It speeds up how your liver processes fat, reducing cholesterol without blocking your body's natural synthesis. And then there's the sunlight trick that absolutely changes everything. Fresh shiitake contains almost no vitamin D, but it contains something way more valuable: ergosterol. It's a precursor compound, basically a solar panel just waiting for activation. When you expose a shiitake mushroom to sunlight for just 1 hour, ultraviolet radiation converts that ergosterol to vitamin D2. A single sun-dried shiitake can contain 12 micrograms of vitamin D. That's 80% of your daily requirement from one mushroom. In 2004, researchers at Penn State discovered that if you slice the mushroom before sun exposure, increasing the surface area, production absolutely skyrockets. Some samples reached 46,000 international units. That's not food anymore, that's a pharmaceutical-grade compound created by sunlight and fungal biochemistry. The emperors didn't know about photochemistry, but they observed the results. They watched it heal the sick. They watched it extend vitality, so they hoarded it. Can you blame them? So here's the question that explains absolutely everything. If this mushroom fights cancer, lowers cholesterol, and synthesizes vitamin D, why is it a niche product in the West? Why is your grocery store's mushroom aisle completely dominated by those white button mushrooms that contain none of these compounds? The answer isn't what you think. It's not about taste. It's not about nutrition. It's about logistics. And that should make you angry. In 1982, Gary Leatham at the U.S. Forest Products Laboratory published the blueprint explaining exactly how American farmers could grow shiitake commercially. For a brief moment, it looked like shiitake would revolutionize American agriculture. Production jumped from near zero to 3 million pounds by 1987. But there was a problem the research paper couldn't solve. Shiitake is alive, and living things have shelf lives. We're talking 48 to 72 hours after harvest. After that, it begins to wilt, loses texture, becomes unmarketable. The industrial food system doesn't run on nutrition, it runs on durability, and that's where everything falls apart. Supermarkets need products that can sit on a truck for a week, sit on a shelf for another week, and still look fresh. Shiitake refuses to cooperate because it's an actual living organism doing what living organisms do. So the grocery industry made a choice, and that choice wasn't in your favor. They chose the button mushroom, Agaricus bisporus, a mushroom that is the exact opposite of shiitake in every meaningful way. Button mushrooms can be tossed in a crate, bounced around a truck for 1,000 miles, left on a shelf for 2 weeks, and they look exactly the same. They contain less protein, fewer beta-glucans, no lentinan, no eritadenine, and almost no vitamin D. But they survived the supply chain, and in industrial agriculture, survival matters more than your health. Today, the button mushroom industry in the United States alone is valued at over $3 billion. The infrastructure is massive. Temperature-controlled grow houses, composted horse manure substrates, industrial pasteurization facilities. Shiitake represents less than 10% of the market, classified as exotic, priced double. Not because it costs more to grow, but because it can't be commoditized the way industrial agriculture demands. They've convinced you that the medicine is the specialty item and the nutritionally void imposter is the standard. Let that sink in. And there's another layer to this suppression that should absolutely infuriate you. The global vitamin D supplement market is worth over $1 billion annually. Most vitamin D3 comes from lanolin extracted from sheep wool grease, requiring industrial extraction and chemical processing. Meanwhile, shiitake produces vitamin D for free. You don't need a laboratory, you don't need chemical solvents. You slice a mushroom, place it in the sun, and you have a supplement that costs nothing. That's not a product, that's a threat to the entire business model. If people understood they could inoculate a log in their backyard and harvest medicine for 8 years, they wouldn't need the supplement aisle. And that's exactly why shiitake stayed specialty, stayed expensive, stayed hidden behind the white buttons that the supply chain prefers. But here's what the industry absolutely doesn't want you to know. Growing this medicine is absurdly simple. You need a hardwood log, oak, maple, or beech, freshly cut. You drill holes in the log, space them 6 inches apart, offset the rows in a diamond pattern for even colonization. You pack the holes with shiitake spawn, seal them with wax, stack the logs in the shade, and wait 12 to 18 months. The mycelium colonizes the log, consuming the wood, breaking down the tree, converting dead matter into medicine. Then it fruits. Dozens of golden brown caps erupt from the bark. You harvest, the log rests, and 6 months later, it fruits again. One log produces mushrooms for 6 to 8 years. Some growers report 10 years of production from a single inoculation. Let's talk economics, because this is staggering. One log costs about $10 to inoculate. Over its lifetime, it produces 5 to 10 pounds of fresh shiitake. At current retail prices, that's over $100 of mushrooms from a $10 investment, and it requires almost no maintenance. No irrigation systems, no fertilizer, just shade. Compare that to button mushrooms that require composted manure, temperature-controlled grow rooms, and humidity sensors. Shiitake just requires a log and patience. When you harvest, remember the activation method. Slice them gill side up because the gills contain the highest concentration of ergosterol. Lay them in direct sunlight for 1 hour, then dry them. They'll store for a year in a sealed jar. You can rehydrate them anytime, add them to soups, brew them in teas. You're getting lentinan, eritadenine, and pharmaceutical-grade vitamin D from a piece of wood you left in the shade. This isn't theoretical or some hippie fantasy. Farmers across Japan and China have done exactly this for 1,000 years. It's only in the last 40 years that we've been conditioned to rely exclusively on the supermarket, and that conditioning wasn't an accident. Walk into any grocery store today and really look at the mushroom section. The shelves are dominated by white button mushrooms, smooth, uniform, nearly tasteless, designed for the truck, not for your body. Shiitake is there sometimes, tucked in the corner, 3 times the price. That's not market value, that's gatekeeping. Button mushrooms are profitable because they're essentially dead. Dead food lasts. Shiitake is less profitable because it's alive, and living food heals. Those market numbers aren't accidental. They're the result of 40 years of prioritizing logistics over nutrition, of choosing shelf life over medicine. But here's the beautiful part. The log doesn't care about market share. You can inoculate one today, and in 18 months, it fruits. For 8 years, it produces medicine without permission from the USDA, without a grocery store middleman, without the supplement industry taking their cut. The emperors knew this. The monks knew this. Shiitake isn't a specialty item, it's sovereignty. Not just food sovereignty, medical sovereignty. One log, 8 years, 1,800 years of imperial monopoly. They called it the emperor's food, and now you know exactly why the modern food industry tried to bury it. The truth is simple, and it's been hidden in plain sight. You don't need their system. You don't need their supplements. You don't need their permission. You need a log, some spawn, and the willingness to opt out of a supply chain that prioritizes profit over your health. The emperors fought wars to control this knowledge. Now it's sitting in the corner of your grocery store at triple the price, marketed as exotic when it should be the standard. That's not a coincidence, that's a business decision, and you have the power to reject it entirely. So what are you going to do with this information? Are you going to keep buying those tasteless white buttons that offer you nothing? Or are you going to inoculate a log and reclaim a piece of food sovereignty that's been denied to common people for centuries? Drop a comment below and let me know if you're ready to start your own shiitake operation, and make sure you're subscribed because the next deep dive into forgotten superfoods is coming soon, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. The food industry has been lying to you for decades, and we're just getting started exposing it all.